I can do. And Loeb, of course, very different, 9 times World Rally Champion, but for Delacour still to come back and still to enjoy it, and yeah, great character.
And like Loeb, he's lost none of his speed whatsoever. Age may not necessarily be on his side, but talent is still there, and it's probably going to be there for quite a while longer as well. Yeah, really doesn't sound right on the onboard. It's a bit touch and go, perhaps.
So it's very, very hard to tell, because if we're picking the sound up differently through the intercom or just through a different microphone in the car, it could be something like that. But he's still trying hard.
It certainly doesn't look like he's slowing up. He's certainly on the right gears through the corners. He's certainly got good exit speed. He's got good turn-in, so it would seem that everything is certainly okay to get him to the end of the stage, even if there's some work to do overnight. But now he has become a real factor in this rally, of course. I mean, he was already, but now that we've lost the likes of Kubica, now that Breen has lost a huge amount of time, and he's on the catch-up, basically.
Well, Delacour currently lying 5th, moved up a place as everybody did because Kubica went out. Sarazan's the only person who didn't move up a place on that last stage, and that's because Breen managed to overhaul him as well. So Breen absolutely flying on the last stage. He's won every stage, Craig Breen, except for the one where he had his puncture. So Breen overhauled Sarazan. Everybody moved up a place. Breen moving up to Sarazan holding station because of that. So Delacour then on board with him. We're going to take a short commercial break. Join us afterwards, and we'll see where everybody lies.
Riding on board with Brian Bouffier, the 2011 Monte Carlo Rally winner. Handling things very nicely, considering the conditions here at Corsica. And as you can see from the windscreen, the spots of rain, Andrew, are getting heavier.
They are indeed. Most of our important runners, if you like, the guys who are in the fight at the front, are early enough on the road that hopefully they won't get two different conditions. It's always a bit of a shame if you've got someone who's in contention who's running 10th and they get rubbish conditions compared to everyone else. But Bouffier, your rally leader at the minute. I have some split times up on the screen here, and Delacour seems to be reasonably on the pace. He was 4 seconds down on Kopecki's time after 3 kilometres, so about a second a kilometre, but then he's 14 seconds down after 10 kilometres, so maybe losing a little more time, but certainly maybe, well, certainly maybe, that's a contradiction in terms, isn't it? We're not sure about Delacour's engine, is the long and the short of it. But Bouffier on a mission, leading from Kopecky by 3.8.
And for some reason, the timing screens are not picking up Craig Breen's splits for the moment. That doesn't mean he's out, because we saw him go through, so he's perfectly fine. It's just some kind of technical glitch.
On a mission through there. You could just see the rear end of the car move, and then hard on the brakes, had it balanced lovely just before he turned it in. Let's listen into Pansieri.
Gauche 82, rétréci droite à fond. Train 40, long gauche 50 dur. 200 mètres. 200 mètres, droite à fond. Et sur gauche à fond. Pour long droite à fond absolu. Sur gauche. Sur attention léger botté, long droite 93, train 50. Gauche 80, un peu court.
Bouffier head through the first split, 3 seconds adrift from Kopecky. So very, very tight at the top between these three, Kopecky, Delacour and Bouffier for the stage time. Kopecky further on up the road, of course, about to complete the 6th stage, I do believe. And this is really important for him as far as he's concerned. Remember that Kopecky has won 3 of this year's 4 rallies, and he only started 3 of them.
Impressive performance from him. He's been the bridesmaid in the IRC a lot. Finished the championship runner-up several times.
4 in a row, I do believe.
Wet and slippery down here at the end of the stage. Tricky conditions. Kopecky then about to set the benchmark. Here it is.
And we wait for the time to come up. By comparison to this morning, 15:32.7.
Okay, he is 6 seconds slower than he was this morning.
Well, that's not exactly a surprise. The conditions very different, very slippery.
Colder and damper. It's everybody was moaning about soft tyres this morning. In fact, this afternoon, several of them have taken soft tyres. The temperatures have dropped. There's a little bit of moisture around, so Interesting to hear what they've got to say. Some of them did say they felt they were too soft for the previous stage, special stage 5.
I think that's what's known as Murphy's Law, isn't it? Yes. The second you change your strategy, the conditions completely turn around. So let's see what Jan Kopecky has to say about stage 6.
Jan, end of the final stage of the day, and it's a big battle between you and Bouffier. How was that one?
I have to say the weather is really incredible over here, because after the start it was very long section on the dry. Then it started to be a little bit humid, and last 7-8 kilometers it's changing damp, wet, humid, dry. So very difficult to see, where it's dry or where it's wet. So we were a bit cautious, but anyway, it was good day for us.
At the start of the stage, it looked like you were understeering quite a lot.
I have to say, finally, as I told you, we changed the rear diff now, and it's better. Thank you.
Okay, so Bouffier saying it's better. Sorry, Kopecky saying it's better. He changed his gearbox earlier on today and wasn't happy.
Ooh, Bouffier, sorry, just got a huge amount of opposite lock in the middle there and very nearly found himself with a face full of brick wall. Dear, oh dear, that would have been a terrible, terrible way to end his rally. Right when he's leading it, with everybody around him losing their heads, Bouffier has so far been the mark and merit of concentration. And that could very nearly have been an accident. That wasn't even his own fault either, because he did everything right going into the corner. He just got caught out by a wet patch, and that's all it takes at this level. It's all down to just how you balance it. You need to be prepared for the unexpected here.
Certainly towards the end of the stage, a little bit wetter. As we were saying about Kopecky, he changed his box this morning, changed the gearbox, not because there was a problem with the gearbox, but because he wanted a different setting in the diff, which was in the front diff, and he hated it. So he reckoned that the crew could change it back in 9 minutes, and 15 used to be fast for a gearbox change. 9 is extremely impressive. Here are the split times: Delacour plus 14, Bouffier plus 11. So that means the rally lead is going to change considerably if it carries on like that, and I wonder how much time, if Breen's on a fly. We haven't got Breen splits, unfortunately. So we're going to have to wait until he reaches the end of the stage to find out what his time is.
Certainly won't be too long, because he wasn't that far behind Kopecky, only about 2.5 minutes further up the road behind the Czech driver. And Breen will be wanting to take his 12th stage win of the 2013 season. Here he comes. Straight across the line now. 15:32.7 for Kopecky, 15:32.8, 1/10 of a second in it. I can't believe it's that close.
He wanted rain. Breen wanted rain. After he'd had his problem, he said, just pray for rain, rain, rain. So, you know, conditions are much more unpredictable, of course, which means you stand a chance of taking a lot of time out of your competitors, but obviously Breen feels comfortable in it. Spot this, just on the right-hand side, you'll see that Chris Walls from Rally Radio is about to kick a rock underneath, or possibly Julian is going to kick the rock under the rear wheel. Now, I noticed that on the previous car. That's because the brakes are overheating at the end of the stage. They put a rock under the wheel so the driver doesn't have to rest his foot on the brake pedal.
So Craig Breen, 1/10 of a second slower than Kopecky. He couldn't be closer.
Craig, 0.1 of a second down on Jan Kopecky in there. It's been a big, big day for you, highs and lows.
Yeah, we made a bit of a gamble with the tires, and if it rained in there, we were on for a winner. But you know what I mean, the car was just moving way too much. It was a full hard stage. You know what I mean. The roads here are so abrasive that it just doesn't allow for a soft tire to be competitive. But I think me and Paul can really hold our heads high today, because we've shown, I think we've been the fastest here today by a long shot, so I think we can be very happy with that.
Breen making reference there to the tyres. He says it is not for soft, so he took a gamble. We've got the tyre choices of him and some of the other drivers here somewhere. Just let me dig them out. Breen went for 4 soft and 2 hard, so he was really hoping it was going to rain, be very slippery, and that then he would in a winning situation with his 4 soft tyres. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out, and he gambled against Kopecky, who took 4 hard tyres. And if Kopecky has managed to stem the flow a little bit, the gap between the two, let me see, on the previous stage, Kopecky was 40 seconds up the road from Breen, but Bouffier falling back. On board now with Sarrazin. And one of his technicians tweeted earlier on today that they were making small changes, but that Sarrazin was going to have a big push. So let's have a little look. 1.6 turbocharged engine, the regional rally car. This car, of course, won here last year. this very car, not just this make and model, but this very car, this chassis, in the hands of Sordo.
Indeed, and that was a pretty spectacular victory for Sordo in difficult circumstances, and Stéphane Sarrazin is now stepping up to the table with a car he had never driven before Monday, and he said, oh, I only need 1 day to get used to the car, then I'm fine. And he certainly has been. He's been very, very serene. He hasn't been challenging for the victory, but the way things have been going so far, he could well be in with a shout. Certainly of a top three, he's fourth overall at the moment.
Plus 49, but he was overhauled by Green on the last one. Just going to pull his results up. He was fifth, fourth and fourth over the previous stages, and his overall position in fact matching his stage position.
So if symmetry would dictate where he will be by stage 7 tomorrow, he'll be in the top 3, but unfortunately you've got to put the hard work in first and pray that somebody falls off the road, and with a couple of shaky moments for Kopecky in the early stages of the stage, and with Bouffier nearly clouting a brick wall, could happen.
Right, Delacour. I remembered earlier on today, you could hear him from the outside camera there confirming that there was a bit of a noise, but that sounds to me like exhaust, and he mentioned the exhaust earlier on today. So
26 and a half.
Yeah,
26 and a half back as well.
It's not the end. What's his time compared to this morning? 15:59. Let me look for you. This morning, Delacour was
He did a 15:51, so fairly similar actually.
Fairly similar to Kopecky, yeah. So noisy. That was what we thought the problem was, but it sounds like it's just exhaust. Let's hear from Francois. I'm sure he'll have something to say about it. Usually entertaining.
Asking him to turn the engine off because it's that noisy.
In French. Okay. Francois, the car sounds awful. The manifold again.
Yeah, le pot d'échappement est cassé à nouveau. Et ça fait 4 spéciales maintenant, et c'était très difficile d'entendre Doumé dans la spéciale, d'autant plus qu'on n'était pas du tout préoccupé avec le bon choix de pneus. Et on est parti avec des pneus durs. Je pense qu'on est le seul équipage qui est complètement dur. Et le temps, il est pas mal parce que j'ai